Hey, distance learners. So today you're just going to take a really short set of notes on third parties. So we've already talked about our two main political parties in the United States, the Democrats and the Republicans. But did you know there's actually other minor parties that we call third parties? The reason why we don't really know about them a whole lot is because they've never really won an election, and it's really hard for them to win an election. In class, we watched this video that kind of explains why it's so hard, but I'm just going to summarize quick so that way this video is as short as possible. So the reason why it's so hard for third parties to win elections is because they don't get as much media attention. Because they don't get as much media attention, they can't build their base like people who support them. And because they can't build their base and have as many supporters, they don't get as much money to campaign, which then kind of feeds back into they don't get as much coverage in the media and they don't build their base and they can't get enough funding. So when a third party says that they win the election, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're sitting in the Oval Office. Their goal when they participate in the election is to just get their issues out there, to get people talking about their issues and their party. So go ahead and set up your notes. You can put the learning target at the top. The learning target is just we can define third parties and explain their purpose. Think about how you'd like to create your headings. Our very first heading will be why I care about third parties. And we're going to answer this with a short story. All right, so why do we care about these third parties? Once upon a time, maybe not that once upon a time for my once upon a time fans out there, what up? All right, so once upon a time, there was a president named Teddy Roosevelt, and he was president from 1901 to 1909. He had a lot of fun being president, but after that time, he was like, you know what, I'm done. That was a lot of work. Until 1912, when he was like, actually, I'm ready to come back. And he decided he was going to run for president again. The only problem was our two main political parties had already chosen their candidates. The Democrats went with Woodrow Wilson. The Republicans went with William Howard Taft. So they had already chosen their candidates. It was already locked in and final. And they're like, sorry, Teddy, we can't take you as our official candidate. That didn't stop Teddy Roosevelt. He decided to create his very own political party, a third party called the Progressives. The problem was is his political party looked very similar to the beliefs of the Republican Party. So people who would normally vote for the Republican Party, some of them decided to vote for Teddy Roosevelt's third party. So what's the big deal about this? Well, it actually affected the outcome of the election. If you take a look at this election map, this kind of shows us what party won or what candidate won by each state. So if we were to look at this, it looks like Woodrow Wilson won by a landslide, like won by a lot. The problem was is those votes were kind of split between Teddy Roosevelt and William Howard Taft. So the Democrats only got 41.8% of the popular vote. So less than half of people voted for the Democratic candidate, but they got the majority of the states. This is because if we were to add up the popular vote for Teddy Roosevelt and William Howard Taft, remember their parties were very similar, they would have had the popular vote. Okay, so they probably would have won the election if Teddy Roosevelt hadn't gone out and made his own political party. So because of this, the Republicans were like, oh, that was embarrassing. We don't want that to happen again. So they took their current ideas and combined it with Teddy Roosevelt's ideas to reform that political party. That way, the next time around, those who voted for Teddy Roosevelt's third party might be more likely to vote for the Republican Party now that they had some of those same ideas in there. So the reason why we care about those third parties, two reasons. Number one, they affect elections. If you want to put in parentheses, can steal votes. So number one, they affect elections, parentheses, steal votes. The other reason why we care about third parties is they can influence the beliefs of the main political parties. So number one, they can affect elections, parentheses, influence, steal votes, my bad. Number one, affect elections, parentheses, steal votes. Number two, can influence the beliefs of the two main political parties. So just like we saw with our story right here, when they lost the election, the Republicans decided to take some of the ideas of Teddy Roosevelt's third party because he kind of stole their votes and made them lose the election. Okay. New heading, third parties. The official definition is any party that's not Republican or Democrat. They're also called minor parties. Other countries in the world refer to their third parties as minor parties. The United States, we're kind of different. We call them third parties. We've talked a little bit about Democratic and Republican platforms. When we talk about a political platform, it just means that they're explaining the beliefs of a party. So a platform will tell you the beliefs of a party on certain issues. Now, there is a difference between third parties and independents. Independents are a person who votes based on issues rather than for a political party. So they don't align themselves with Democrat, Republican, or even any of these smaller third parties. They are just looking at specific issues and they're going to vote for the candidate that agrees with them the most on the issues. If you need more time to write this down, go ahead and put the video on pause, push play when you're ready. All right, single issue parties. This is going to be a new heading. They are a type of third party. They're really, really specific in the fact that they focus only on one issue. So for example, the Prohibition Party, it was formed in 1872 and their focus was just on banning alcohol. Like that's all their platform was all about. Even though they don't win elections, they do make a major difference in politics. The Prohibition Party, for example, was kind of the cause of prohibition in the 1920s, where it was illegal to have alcohol or sell alcohol in the United States. So even though they don't win the Oval Office, they don't win the presidency, they still make a difference in politics, which is why we care about them. If you need more time to write this down, go ahead and put the video on pause, push play when you're ready. And that is it. That's all the notes for today, so you can go ahead and put those away. What I want you guys to kind of think about is take a look at your test scores, and there's an option to do test corrections. So you can still get full points back on your test if you're interested. If you are, there's going to be a video on Google Classroom called Test Correction Tutorial. It'll kind of show you what you need to do in order to get full points back on your test. If you're interested, go ahead and make a copy of that test correction form on that tutorial link and go ahead and get started. If you have any questions about those test corrections, make sure that you ask me either by sending me an email or send me a text. My phone number and email address are linked to that post on Google Classroom. Good luck, guys.